morning, grade 7s. Welcome to your daily lesson of mathematics brought to you by WorksheetCloud. I hope you are all well. A reminder of the email address on your screen, grade7@worksheetcloud.com. Please send me any feedback, questions, queries, or perhaps there's a topic you would like me to go over, and I'd be more than happy to do that for you in future lessons. Okay, today we carry on with the theme of time. We've got our normal warm-ups and mental maths questions based on previous content, and then your finishers and brain benders at the end. So let's get into our warm-up for today. Today I've given you a tricky one. It's called an upside down or opposite day puzzle. So you can complete it the way it looks like now, and then you can actually turn your screen or rotate the picture and work it out as if it was upside down. Okay, you need to work out both ways, as I'm going to go through both ways on the Google Jamboard. So press pause, work through it slowly. It might be confusing, but I encourage you to struggle through it and try get to the end in the best way possible. Right, good luck, off you go. Give this a go. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the upside down cup and the paint being equal. So that will tell me that 33 plus 33 plus 33 is equal to 99. I also know that 96 is equal to 8 multiplied by 12. So the earth is 12. That means 12 minus 3 must equal 9. Okay, we know 33 equals 33. And then right at the bottom, we'll have 33 plus 3 minus 12 plus 33. And if we go through that, what I would do is I'd say 33 at 33 is 66. Okay, add 3 is 69. 69 minus 12 is going to give me 57. Okay, so the answer to the puzzle in that form is 57. Okay, let's have a look at what happens when we turn it upside down. And if you just give me a second, I will do that. Right, there it should come up onto your screen shortly. Okay, so there it is turned upside down. So now you can see that the cup and the paint are still equal, but now I've got 66. So that's 22 plus 22 plus 22 equals 66. So we know 22 equals 22. The earth remains 12 multiplied by 8 equals 96. Okay, 6 is equal to 18 minus 12. Okay, so the wave is now 18. So that's changed. And then your answer at the top will be 22 plus 12 minus 18 plus 22. Okay, so 22 at 22 is 44. 44 at 12 is 56. So 56 minus 18 is the answer you need to work out. So 56 minus 10 is 46. Subtract 8 and you're going to get 38. Okay, so 38 is the answer when you turn the puzzle upside down. So quite a cool little brain bender warm up for you to do. I hope you guys worked through that and got both of those answers. Here is our mental arithmetic questions for today. So there are 9 questions there for you to do. As always, I encourage you to work through them slowly, use the checking strategies we've spoken about. It's not about speed, it's more about quality. Press pause, press play when you've finished to see how you get on. So by now I'm sure we're aware that when we add decimals, we need to make sure that the numbers are in the correct columns. Okay, so here we're adding, sometimes very easy to put the numbers in the incorrect column, so just make sure that you check that you have done so correctly. and then we just add normally, and the key is to keep the decimal lined up, and that will give us 169,07. And then the subtraction of decimals, the same rules apply. Make sure that you put the correct numbers in the correct columns, and then you subtract and borrow the same way. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 8 minus 5 is 3. Borrow from 7, so 11 minus 8 is 3, 6 minus 5 is 1, and 5 minus 0 is 5. So 51,332. Then remember our checking strategy. 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 5 is 8, 3 and 8 is 11, 1 and 5 is 6, and obviously 5 and 0 is 5, so we know we must be correct. Okay, your next question is the multiplication of decimals by a whole number. All right, so we don't really need to do anything to the question as we've already got a whole number, so we can use this form if you want it. Okay, we'll look at another method just now. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. Decimal in the same place. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus the 4 is 39. You could have said 7,91 times 10, and that gives you 79,1, but then you would have needed to halve it to get 39,55. Okay, so there's another method that you could have done there. Either way, 39,55 is going to be your answer. Just remember, guys, that whatever calculation strategy you do use, it must make sense to you. You must be able to explain it by writing down, and you must be able to check the answer of your calculation. 4,862 divided by 34. So this is quite a tough one. So what I would do is I'd multiply by 1,000 and get 4,862 divided by 34. Now just remember that because we only multiplied the dividend by 1,000, it means we're going to have to divide by 1,000 when we get our answer to 4,862 divided by 34. If I'd multiplied both the numbers in the question by 1,000 and got 4,862 divided by 3,400, then I wouldn't have to do anything at the end. But I'm not convinced that multiplying both by 1,000 is going to make the question easier. So to work this out, I'm going to go 100 times 34 equals 3,400. I'm then going to work out that 50 times 34 is equal to 1,700. So therefore 150 times 34 is equal to 5,100. So I've got too much. So now I need to work out how much more have I got. And if I do my 5,100 minus 4,862, I get an answer of 238. Okay. I need to work out how many times 34 goes into 238, and that's 7 times. Okay. So I need to take that 7 off the 150. Okay, and if I just create some space here, I'll have to do 150 minus those 7 groups of 34. So that's going to give me 143. Now I can go and check that before I go divide by 1,000. So how do I check that? I need to go 143 multiplied by 34. So 143 multiplied by 34. And you've got multiple ways of doing that. Okay, so if we just do that here quickly, 143 times 34, and we can check it. 17, 572, 9, it's 12, carry the 1, and then 4, my apologies, 4, 3 times 1 plus 1 is 4. Then if we add them together, 4,862. So we know that that calculation is correct. And now we must take 143 and we must divide it by 1,000. And that's going to give us 0,143. Okay, so quite a tricky long division question there. And the key is to figure out, how do I make that question easier for myself? Do I need to do anything at the end like we did in this example? I hope you guys are understanding long division a little bit better. Question 5 is the addition of fractions, and you needed to recognize first off that the denominators are different. Okay, so we should know that we're looking for the lowest common denominator or the lowest common multiple of 6 and 7. Okay, and you're quite correct in saying that the lowest common multiple of 6 and 7, if you go through the 6 times table and the 7 times table, the lowest one is going to be 42. So 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 goes into 42 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. If I add them together, I get 31 over 42. Okay. Question 6 is the multiplication of a decimal by 10. And we know that if we multiply a number by 10, it gets one place bigger. So 12,87 times 10 is going to equal 128,7. Okay, that should be all good. Question 7, we know that when we divide fractions, okay, the second number, which we will write as a fraction, needs to be inverted, and the division sign changes to multiply, and this fraction gets inverted to its reciprocal, and now we've got 4 over 15. Okay. Question 8 is the multiplication of a mixed numeral or a mixed number by a fraction. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert that mixed numeral into an improper fraction. Okay, and that's going to look like 9 over 4. So remember, 2 times 4 and then add the 1 gives us 9. And it's always the original denominator. And we multiply by 1 over 6. You can either say 9 times 1 equals 9. 4 times 6 is 24. Then we need to recognize that 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 3 goes into 24 8 times. Alternatively, you could have recognized that in the question, 3 goes into 6 twice, 3 goes into 9 3 times, and then you would have had 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 2 is 8. Either way, you would have had the answer of 3 over 8. Simplifying in the question just takes away the simplification process at the end. Then 25% of 360. Well done if you recognize 25% as being a quarter. Okay, and then all you needed to do was divide 360 by 4. And that would have given you 90. So 25% is equal to a quarter. So 360 divided by 4. 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9. So 360 divided by 4 is equal to 90. If you hadn't have recognized that, you could have said 10% of 360 equals 36. 5% is equal to 18. 20% is going to be double the 10%, so 72. And then 18 plus 72 is going to give you your 25%, and that is also equal to 90. Okay, I hope you guys are remembering those past principles and working through these mental arithmetic problems with ease. The topic today is time, and more specifically timetables. So a really good skill to have if you catch the bus. The timetables for television programs. There's timetables for low and high tide if you fish. The timetables at school. There are timetables all over the place, really. And some of them work differently to others. Some of them work horizontally, some of them work vertically. So the best way to learn how to read timetables is to actually do some problems and answer some questions on different times tables. So we're going to go through 4 different timetables. So I'd like you to read the questions and answer them, referring to the bus timetable on your screen. Press pause, and then when you finish, press play, and we'll see how you got on with the Jamboard. First question says, calculate the total time taken for an all stops bus travel from East Como to Keystone. So you'll notice that East Como is our first stop where the bus starts. So there it is there. And you'll notice that Keystone Junction is the last stop. So an all stops means how long does it take to get from East Como all the way to Keystone Junction, including the stops. So that's going to be 8:25, and it gets to Keystone Junction at 9:08. So how much time is that? And you'll remember from previous lessons that we go to the next hour first. So it's 35 minutes until 9 a.m. Then we need to add those extra 8 minutes. So in total, the bus trip from East Como to Keystone Junction takes 43 minutes. Question asks us to describe two ways, including departure and arrival times. A person can plan a bus trip from Rose Circuit, which I've highlighted in blue, to Deniliquin Road, I've also highlighted in blue, but the key here is the arrival time needs to be between 10 and 10:30 a.m. So if we have a look at Deniliquin Road, there is the two times between 10 and 10:30 a.m. So the first bus we can take from Rose Circuit is going to be the 9:43 a.m. bus, and you can see the 9:43 a.m. bus will arrive at 6 minutes past 10, okay, and that's going to be a total trip of 23 minutes. Second possible route to take would be to start at Rose Circuit at the 9:08 bus, which I've got circled in red. You would then have to arrive at Chester Station at 9:17, okay? Then you would need to take the 10:03 bus from Chester Station to arrive at 10:18, okay? And then you can work out from 8 minutes past 9 to 18 minutes past 10 is going to be a trip of 1 hour and 10 minutes. Now, there were other possibilities as well, okay? You could have left Rose Circuit at 9:08. You could have got to Chester at 9:17, like we said, wait until 10:03. You could have also departed Chester on the 10:13 bus, okay? So that would have been another option. Okay, so just make sure that you're aware that you can change buses to get from one point to another. You just got to make sure that the times coincide and that you don't miss the connecting bus. Your second timetable, Delmont Bay Ferry Service timetable. There's quite a lot going on there, so you're going to have to look at it quite carefully. Notice the key at the bottom, the Delmont Interchange to Birch Point services. Read the questions really carefully. Take your time while you work through it. As I've said before, it's not a race. Make sure you understand. Press pause and then press play to see how you get on when we go through it on the Jamboard. Okay, first question. What is the latest time a ferry can be caught from Greenwich to reach Birch Point before 1 o'clock? So we need to go to Birch Point and we need to check Birch Point before 1 o'clock. There's a 12:34. Okay, so it's important to read it as before 1 o'clock. So that means that we need to leave Greenwich at 10:52. Okay, so our first answer is 10:52, as you know, 8 minutes before 11. Second question, how long does the ferry which travels via Oyster Bay, how long does it take to travel from Delmont Interchange to Birch Point? Have a look at any of the ferries that go from Delmont to Birch Point via Oyster Bay. Okay, so it's really important that we recognize we have to go via Oyster Bay. Okay, and I've just tried to underline the Oyster Bay times there. Okay, so let's take, for example, the 8:25 to the 10:19 at Birch Point. It goes via Oyster Bay at 9:20. So we need to work out 8:25 to 19 minutes past 10, and that's going to be 1 hour 54 minutes. Okay, and let's just check if that works out with other ferries going via Oyster Bay. So if we take the 9:25, it goes via Oyster Bay. It arrives at 11:19, and 9:25 to 19 minutes past 11 is also 1 hour 54. And let's do one more check. We'll do the 10:40 departure from Delmont, goes past Oyster Bay at 11:35, arrives at 12:34, and again, that's 1 hour 54. So we know we must be correct. Question 3, which ferry service moves passengers between Shark Ponds and Pontoon Palace the quickest, and by how much time? So if you have a look, there is a Shark Pond service that goes past Pier 8, and there's all that gets to Pontoon Palace. Okay, so here is Pier 8 over here. And there's also a ferry service that goes from Shark Pond to Pontoon Palace, and that goes via Calamity and Pelican Island. So it stops at Calamity and Pelican Island. So we can go work out the length of time for each one. And let's have a look at the one that goes via that goes by Pier 8 first. So it leaves at 8:49 and it arrives at 9:21, and that's a total of 32 minutes. Okay, and if you go have a look at all of the ferries that leave Shark Pond and go via Pier 8 and arrive at Pontoon Palace, they will all be 32 minutes. Then if you had a look at the service that went via Calamity Island and Pelican Island, it leaves at 10:53 from Shark's Pond. It arrives at Pontoon Palace, there it is at 12:30. Okay, and you can see that that's going to be way more than 32 minutes. That's going to be 1 hour and 37 minutes. Okay, so your answer is going to be the quickest ferry is the ferry that goes from Shark's Pond via Pier 8 to Pontoon Palace, and that's going to be 1 hour and 5 minutes faster. Okay. Question 4. When each ferry reaches Birch Point, it stays there for 15 minutes before traveling back to Delmont Interchange along the same route. If the time taken to travel between each stop on the way back is the same as the way out, what time will the 12:49 ferry from Birch Point reach Docklands? Okay, so the first thing I think we need to work out is how long does it take to get between Docklands and Birch Point, and then obviously Birch Point to Docklands, because as they say, it's going to be the same amount of time. So I've already circled 11:15 is what time it would normally leave Docklands, and it would arrive at 12:34. Okay, and if you work out the amount of time between 11:15 and 12:34, you'll get 1 hour and 19 minutes. Okay, now you know that it waits for 15 minutes before it departs Birch Point. So we know it's going to be departing at 12:49. So what do I need to do? I need to add 1 hour and 19 minutes onto 12:49. Okay, so I can go 12:49. Let's create some space. I can say 12:49 plus 1 hour is going to give me 11 minutes to 2, or 13:49. Okay, and then I needed to add the 19 minutes onto that, and that's going to give me 8 minutes past 2. Okay, so it will arrive at Docklands at 8 minutes past 2. Question you need to work out a little bit. How long does the ferry driver of the Calamity and Pelican Island service spend traveling in total for one complete round trip? Don't forget the waiting time at Birch Point. So now we need to use the information that they told us in question 4. And we know that they wait for 15 minutes before they turn around. So let's write that down so we don't forget it. So we need to look at Calamity and Pelican Islands. And here we'll use this one because that stops at both Calamity and Pelican Island. So you can see it leaves Delmont Interchange at 10. It arrives at Birch Point at 12:44. Okay, so straight away we know that that's 2 hours and 44 minutes. It then waits for 15 minutes before going all the way back for another 2 hours and 44 minutes. All right, so we need to add all that time up. So we go 2 hours and 2 hours is 4 hours. 44 minutes and 44 minutes is 88 minutes plus 15 minutes. Okay, 88 plus 15 is going to give us 103. And in 103 minutes, that's 1 hour and 43 minutes. Okay, so 1 hour and 43 minutes. So your total is 5 hours and 43 minutes. Okay, so that will be the length of time for a round trip from Delmont Interchange to Birch Point. Wait at Birch Point for 15 minutes, as they told us in question 4. And then we got to go 2 hours and 44 minutes back to Delmont Interchange. Grade 7s, I did originally say we were going to go through 4 timetables, but I realized that we're getting close to 30 minutes. And if I go through the other 2, we're going to be sitting here for an additional 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move those 2 timetable questions to the next lesson, and we'll use those to recap timetables just so that we can keep it fresh in our mind and consolidate the information over 2 lessons, which is always quite a handy thing to do. But your finisher for today is the game of 24. By now, I'm sure you know you need to use each number on a card and a combination of the operational signs to come up with the answer of 24, and also see how many different ways you can come up with the answer of 24. Grade 7s, that's us for today. Remember the email address, grade7@worksheetcloud.com. Please use it to send me any feedback or questions. There is an online activity for you to do on timetables with the memo, and I encourage you to go through those questions. And hopefully when we do the next lesson and we continue with the 2 examples we didn't do today, then that information is going to be a lot easier for you to understand, and you're going to be able to go through it quite easily. Guys, have a really cool day. Keep safe. All the best. Take care.